afternoon. Michelle Cordero, Education Director, ASIS, coming your way for another live stream today. Shaking up the countdown music a little bit, adding a little bassoon in there for our guest today as a little special nod to him. He's a fan favorite here at ASIS. He's also been on our live stream before. You probably have seen him on all of our social media as well. As dynamic teacher here at ASIS. If you want to find out a little bit more about how he got into the massage field and some of his favorites about teaching here and things like that, check out our playlist on YouTube. We do have our live streams all in one playlist there on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ASIS Massage Education, if you want to check that out. So I'm going to bring him into the stream here, his live, our live stream guest today, Morgan Strong. Hello, Mr. Morgan.
Hello. Can you see and hear me okay? Because I know we're having issues with that before.
Yes, okay. I know. So those of you who are waiting patiently at 1 o'clock, ready for us to go live, sorry about being a couple minutes late. We were having some little tech challenges, which, you know, it is what it is at this time in our lives. We're all used to it by now. I was trying to be fancy like Morgan and put my little over the ear cuffs as well on today, but for some reason it just doesn't like me. I don't know why, but we're having a little bit of work done here on the campus. So hopefully it's not going to be too much distraction as things are going crazy behind me here. So.
So loud.
Yeah. You never know the live stream, right? You're going to get what you get. So bear with us. I promise you the content's going to be great. And it's going to be worth any bit of distraction or lateness that we happen to have today. So just another manic Friday, right? Or frivolous Friday or frantic Friday. Right?
Gotta love it.
All right. Well, anyway, let's get to the topic at hand here. So we'll recap backstory, and I think we also talked about this on our first live stream we did together, and how I first met Morgan, who applied for the position here, and did his little mini mock lesson on cupping, and introduced me for the very first time to cupping, and that was it. We were sold. The people in the class that he had demoed to, we all that night went on Amazon and purchased our own set of cups, because we were just like blown away by this little 10-minute demonstration and how dynamic changes happen so quickly in such a short period of time and seemingly so easily. So we were like, we got to know more about this. So fast forward a little bit, right? We actually include it in the curriculum now, thanks to his lobbying and slight nudges that we got. Morgan travels to all 4 of our campuses to teach the cupping classes. His classes are dynamic and entertaining and just full of a lot of energy, and really, really, really fun. So we thought we would come in and show a little bit more about what you do in your classes, let people know about your upcoming CE classes that are coming up. So it's not just our students that are coming here enrolling in our program. Morgan does have a whole series of classes open to any massage therapist needing to get some hours or even just wanting some more tools to add in their toolbox. So we wanted to give you a little insight of how that goes. So I think I just said everything you needed to say, Morgan, for the day, and now we're done. So
I'll take it. That's perfect. On to the demo, right?
Well, talk a little bit about how you developed your classes and why you wanted to get into the CE world, and like what was your goal behind that?
Yeah, for sure. Well, when I first got into cupping, and I tell this to every class that I teach, so if you've heard this before, I'm sorry, but I was like never interested in doing cupping. You know, I had so many preconceived notions about what it was. I saw all these like crazy marks. I would think that people were getting like beaten by baseball bats. I definitely didn't understand the therapeutic benefit of what you could do with cups. Mm-hmm. So for me, when building these classes out, I really wanted people to get a chance to try different things, right? Mm-hmm. Like to kind of see like what it could be, to get a feeling for what happens when you have the cups on your body, because what you see is not really what you feel. Mm-hmm. And then more important than that, there's so many different varieties of cups out there at this point that, I mean, to be able to have a class where you can try as many different ones as there are, and really figure out what is your niche, because each one is just slightly different and they all kind of like bring their own thing to the table. So
Right.
I don't know. It was big for me when I built the curriculum that it was, something where you could try a bunch of different things, find out what worked for you,
Mhm.
and really kind of got rid of the myths of cupping that I had in my head, like all the
Mhm.
preconceived ideas that I had that were just not true.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that makes it attractive to me is also finding something that can assist in what I'm doing and not hurting myself more, trying to go harder all the time. Not necessarily like physically harder, but just overall, right? This is like the ease of having this tool in your hand and knowing how to use it. It makes things a lot easier. And one of the things about tools, I know I was always hesitant about because how do you feel? And that's what we have these hands for. And that's why, we're massage therapists and why are we going to use things? But it's not a replacement. And that's one thing I love that you talk about too. It's not that I'm only going to use cups through the whole session and I'm going to use it on every part of the body. It's how you're incorporating it into your session. And you're still using your good old fashioned spidey finger senses, right? To get the end result, right? You're just not having to work as hard, right?
It's so true. I'm big on like integration. That's always been my thing,
Mhm.
not to replace one thing for another, but figuring out how can you make this work for everybody, or how can I
Yeah.
take this tool and make it work for somebody else? Because I was that therapist a long time ago that was, I'm not a tool therapist. I'm only going to
Mhm.
use my hands, and I ate my words
Yeah.
quickly once I learned how to use some tools properly. Right? There's still some that I'll
Right.
probably never use, and that's okay with me, but it got out of my, I don't know, my boasty ego-ness to say something like, I'm not going to use tools ever. Well,
Yeah.
that was a little short-sighted on my part.
Right.
But
I
yeah, with
feel the
cups, it's
same
great.
way.
You can really warm up the body. I mean, you can get into all those deep tissue type things that a lot of people and a
Mhm.
lot of therapists like to do. It's just easier. I don't have to work as hard. Not that I'm not a hard worker. I just don't need to pour all of my body weight into something when
Mhm.
a couple swipes of the cup and it's nice and warm and I can find it with my fingers easily. And then
Right.
on top of it, so that's great for me, but it's also great for the client. They don't have to deal with, you digging in all over the place. And, today we're going to get a chance to look at somebody's low back today. That's probably one of my favorite spots for cups because, I don't care who you are in the low back. There's only like so much pressure down you can take before
Mhm.
it's just uncomfortable, right? We don't
Yeah.
have ribs back there. It's your lumbar spine. It's already got a slight curve to it. You've got some major nerve roots coming out through that way, going down into the lower aspect of the body. Yeah, I mean, sometimes getting cups,
Mhm.
that's just a better tool than what I can do with my hands.
Right. Let's expand on that a little bit more because you were saying about putting so much pressure down, and I think the industry as a whole has done a really good job of starting to educate our clients a little bit better that pain and pressure down does not always equal a better massage or a more therapeutic massage. And one of the other highlights that I love about cups is we're shifting that mindset and we're doing a lift now, right? And not that push down as much. And I've noticed, and you can expand on this a little more because you're more of the guru on it, but I've noticed with my clients over the years and people I know that have said, I've had trouble with this client or that client, they've been beat down so much, physically downwards, that the tissue is just like, we're not going to take any more of that. And so to actually do something different and dynamic in a lift fashion, I feel makes the tissue respond better because of that change up. And now we're not trying to damage the tissue as much. Would you agree?
I mean, I totally agree. The if you think about things like connective tissue or myofascial release and things like that, it's usually a very deep, very slow, very elongated type of a stroke that
Mhm.
looks to open up and hydrate the fascia and the soft tissue,
Mhm.
right? So the end game is hydration, not necessarily that they're like putting a lot of pressure on you, but like that's what they're trying to accomplish with the connective tissue work. Well, with cups, it's nice because I don't have to sink in or sink right into you. I can let those cups pull that blood flow to the area, right? So it's
Mhm.
pulling blood flow and then pulling up the fascia and any underlying structures that happen to be underneath there. So, I use this example a lot of times when we're in class and stuff is that rec fem example. Rec fem, top most superior aspect of the quads, right? And then deep to that is vastus intermedius. So many times vastus intermedius and rec fem get stuck on top of each other. Well, there's lots of great connective tissue strokes at work to help separate those and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't want to work that hard. There's a cup, it literally does just that. So why don't I use that and do something else better with my hands? So yeah, again, it's just a matter of working, deep tissue is just deeper structures, deeper tissues of the body. It doesn't mean it hurts. It doesn't mean no pain, no gain. It doesn't mean any of that. So I can accomplish deep tissue work with suction cup because it's still doing the same thing. It's affecting the deeper tissues of the body. That's all deep tissue is.
Yeah. And I like your quads example because of those of you not in the massage world or knowing the anatomy, that's the front part of your thigh, the quadricep muscles. I know for me, because they're one of my problem areas, like if somebody starts putting heavy pressure on that, I'm going to jump off the table. So start getting those cups in there, and it could even warm it up and desensitize me so that someone could do a little bit of more pressure downwards. And that really helps to break things up for me. And in my, like, I don't know, it makes like a mental connection to my body saying, okay, you don't have to hold on so much. Like we've got you, let it go, let it go. So it's been really great.
You get the same thing with the IT band. That was like another one that was probably one of the most pivotal ones. That's actually one of the techniques was working on the IT band that like made me go out and literally buy the cups right that day. I had been working on IT bands. I'm sure most of the people out there have as well, where you're just beating it down, long connective tissue strokes, full elbow, full forearm, knuckles, and not really getting anywhere with it. And then you've got the clients who are, I'm going to take care of myself, and they go home and they foam roll. So they're doing the same thing that you're doing in the therapy that they're doing at home. Well, at some point the fascia goes, like you said, no more, it just lays more down because it's like tired of getting beat up. So enter this idea of cupping where you've got this separation, this pulling away of an IT band on top of vastus lateralis. The amount of work, the amount of movement that can happen. I mean, you're not only working with muscles, but also the fascial glides at that point. There's a lot of shearing motions that are going on. And to help separate those out and really make them work a little bit more independently instead of as like this big clump. I don't know. Like I said, I've seen some great benefits with it.
Yeah, that's so awesome. So you said like in your class, you do introduce different types of cups. So can you walk us through some of the ones that you are hand? I know you have your break in case of emergency set that you always have on at all times. If you ever see Morgan on the street, stop him. He will have cups on him. So
absolutely.
Not afraid to use them at any time either. I just want to do, while you're doing that, I just want to give a little shout out to Carrie, who I'm not sure if she's still on, but Carrie, one of our fan favorites over here. Love using cups, and we love that you love using cups, and we love that you're using them in your successful practice. So way to go, Carrie. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so I just had to do a little shout out.
Modality. I love that. I love it. It's such an easy modality to integrate into anything that you're doing. I mean, most of my classes are a couple days long. Literally by day 2, somebody went home and told me of this like great thing that happened that they did, the night before and stuff. So it's I don't know. As a teacher, it's very gratifying too.
Yeah, I love it.
But cups wise, so these are my break glass in case of emergency cups. I'll see if I can stack them so they look decent on the camera here. Yeah. Right. So it's basically a set of 4. Right. And they come in different sizes. So this is them all kind of stacked on top of one another. This is probably to me the most versatile set of cups that there are. You can do just about every technique. You can work just about everywhere on the body, save maybe the face. And they're very adjustable. So you can get a deeper pressure or a deeper suction if you're looking for that. You can do a much lighter suction. And like I said, with the techniques, you can pretty much do all of them. It's just a matter of, I probably wouldn't do much on the face, right? Just because the suction can sometimes be a little bit much. But great to have in the office. I have multiple sets. I have beyond multiple sets. It's kind of sad. But they're great to travel with as well. As you can see, they're very tiny once they all stack inside of each other. So I do like this a lot. It's something that, for people, if they want to add it on as an extra treatment cost, they can do it that way. For myself, I don't, but it's easy to travel with these rather than, something like a hot stones where you have to travel with quite a bit more stuff and heat and whatnot. So
and you like the brand, the Lure brand, right? That's mostly what we talk about in our classes, but there are tons of other brands that are out there, right?
There are, and I would never want to steer somebody away from trying different cups. I mean, like I said, I have multiple sets of cups, tons of different types of cups. I do like Lure. I think they're the quality of the cups that they have are really fantastic. I think they have a huge variety of different types of cups as well. So again, I'm not really big on do it my way or go to the highway. You know, it's more fun to figure out what works best for you. So yeah, I like the variety that they have as well. Be wary, like with anything else with the cups on Amazon, you just don't always know what you're going to get, and you usually pay for quality. So that's my only word of warning, but I don't want anybody to think that they're the be all end all company, but I do love them. I can't lie.
Yeah, they are really great. And we've been, I think I keep them in business, the amount of cups that our campuses order from them. So
probably somewhere between being in business and maybe making them pull their hair out, you know, because we do a lot of it, so.
I was trying to tag them on our Facebook post so they know that we're talking about them right now.
Oh, yay! Yeah, Lord.
Yeah, we love
it. Only cups.
I know we love Igor over there at Lure, and
Igor and Stella, gotta love them.
Oh, Igor and Stella, and our friend Jay, who's always helping us out. Shout out to Lure. So those are your in case of emergency break glass. In case of break glass emergency. Break
glass in case.
Moving on. Show us some of the other ones.
Nice. So this is another set. You know, again, it's just a little bit different of where's the camera? There we go. It's just a little bit different of an application on these. They don't quite look like the other ones kind of look like little mushrooms. These look a little bit more, they call them dome cups. I think the real name is Zen cups, but they kind of look like domes. Just a different application. Pressure on these is a little bit lighter. You don't have quite as much versatility with it. Not that it's bad, just not super versatile. But these are really nice in certain areas. You know, for me personally, I keep a set of these in my shower because cupping in the shower is a great way to get some self-care done and not waste extra time with life. But I also like these a lot on the stomach and stuff because it's not quite the craziest of suction. Deltoids too, just because you can move it around a little bit easier. And then quite honestly, you know, sometimes I just get tired of, you know, using these cups and I'll just switch it out to something a little bit different, right? So again, having a tool
hand placement is different too, right? And you're having that pushy down as opposed to the one hand squeeze kind of thing. So that's
totally.
Yeah.
Yep. And then so what other fun ones do we have here? So I also have some glass ones, as you can see. So this is kind of a glass 45 millimeter pump cup, right? So these are really nice. Again, the suction on them not too terribly crazy deep, but it's nice because it does a lot with lymphatics, right? So you can use it to open up the lymphatic pathways, really get some of that fluid to move, and not deal with that deeper, crazier pressure and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
And then of course, you know, they get into like fun, crazy tools, right? So then you got like this monster here. It's actually set up as a face cup, but it's an oval cup. It's really great for like, actually created as a lip plumper. A massage therapist got their hands on it and said, what? That's like the perfect fit for things like the intercostals, right? So getting into some of those like more narrow specific areas and stuff. But you can use this on the one on the face. This is one of the face kind of set ones for that. Like I said, as you get into like more new tools, you never know what you're going to get. You never know what's going to apply, or, you know, a new option for something.
Yes. We have to do another shout out to our favorite Jen, who is watching and saying hello to our master. Love you, Jen. You're our master craniosacral therapist.
Heck yeah, we got to get her on for our live stream next.
Yeah, exactly. And we got to totally talk about craniosacral as well. When she gets back, we're waiting for her to get back. So what I know I was checking out your setup before we got started. So you also have your chakra cups there, I believe, right?
I do.
Yeah.
Chakra
Those
cups
are my favorite. I own 2 sets.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the deal with the chakra cups is this was like a horrible name. Hated the cup. Wanted no part of it. They don't match the chakras. You can't put them on the chakras. It's not even the right colors for the chakras. It's not every part of the name is wrong, right?
I know the name was so misleading. I held out for so long because I'm like, I'm not a chakra knowledgeable person. Like, why would I use these for? And then I actually use them.
Terrible.
and then I used them and they changed my life. But continue.
Yes, yes. So these are great. These are awesome for things like active therapies, right? So if you do any kind of like stretching work, this is probably my go-to cup for self-care. I've never been big on self-care up until I started cupping. After I started cupping, I was like, I can self-care all day long. This is fantastic. But yeah, these were great for that because once you get them on there, there's like a almost like a second seal. I don't know if you can see it that well on the camera, right? You can kind of see how there's a second seal on there, and it just stays on a little bit better. The suction on them, not super intense, but enough, right? You know, it's not that super light suction by any means either. So to be able to get those on and then do some type of active movement or passive movement, they just kind of stay on a little bit better for that.
Yeah.
You know, so I'll send people home with self-care for that, again, for my own personal self-care, and then anything stretchy wise.
Yeah, I love it. I just like my shoulder hurts, plop it on, continue working. I put it on while I'm always sending you pictures when I'm driving. I'm like, look at my leg, you know,
Yeah.
put them on while I'm driving. Like,
That's what I
care.
tell people. I'm like, keep a set in your car, throw them on your forearms for your drive home from work. You have no idea how quickly that self-care will like do a lot for you.
Yeah, it's great. I love them. I have one in my drawer. I literally, my bag's in my drawer at my desk, and I have one in my bathroom, my bedroom, and yeah, they're all over the place.
That's awesome.
And so I don't think you have the pump ones on you, right? I
didn't bring them out for it, no. But those are another set. That's the one that most people are very familiar with. Usually comes with anywhere from like 8 to 12 to sometimes 24 even sets. And then it usually has some type of a pistol that they attach to it. They're really great for, you know, certain types of cupping. They're great because they get into they get a lot smaller, right, in diameter, so you can get into a little bit more smaller spaces for stuff. But I don't use them as much as the rest, I can say honestly. Definitely serve their purpose, but I find them to be less versatile because they're so unforgiving, right? They have that, like, they're polycarbonate or glass and they don't really mold around things. With these silicone ones, it's nice because you can kind of like move it around, mold it a little bit. You can do some movement with things. With some of those pump and pistol ones, you know, you go to have them to move their arm or something into a type of range of motion, and they all just pop off.
Right. Yeah. But I love in your classes that you do have them available and you show everybody, you know, how to use them and tell them to play and figure it out, because we'll still have students to be like, no, I want the pump and pistol. Like, I really liked how they used it right here. And it's like, cool. That's how it works for you. Then totally go for it. And if you're going to use it, it's kind of one of those things is what's the best exercise to do? The one that you're going to do. Right. So which cup am I going to use? The one that I'm going to incorporate. So I really, really like how you portray that. And you've always been really great about, this is what I do, but you do you. And I'm not mad about it, right? And Morgan's famous line.
My famous phrase.
Yeah, he even got it on a shirt. Or no, towel. I think it was.
Coffee mug.
Coffee mug, that's it. Yeah, so you get to hear all these great one-liners in Morgan's classes too.
Tons of them.
So we were talking about, we were going to show some little highlights of some of the class techniques that you do. But let's chat a little bit first, just to kind of break it down with your series of your classes. How is it kind of broken down? I know there's an 8-hour and then the shorter one. So can you explain how those work?
Yeah, for sure. So one of the things with cupping that I was finding, because I not only do and take or took a lot, but also still take a lot of continuing education. So one of the things that I was finding is that there's a lot of like core knowledge that kind of needs to happen, right? So you need to understand what cupping does. You need to understand where it came from, why we do it, what's the purpose of it, that kind of a thing. So that's pretty much what that first class is what I call it, the foundations class. And it's really a chance to dive into, where did it come from? What does it do? Why would I do this? You know, what's the point of all this? Kind of get really the background and the setup for what cupping is, what it does, why we do it. That's really where we get a chance to try the different cups, apply the different cups, see which cup is going to work best for you. It's funny, you know, everybody has their set cup on day 1, and then day 2, they're adding 3 more sets. And then by day 4, they've bought the whole set of cups, not ever intending that. So, Yeah, so everything just kind of, that's just, the way it kind of like plays out is, being able to try all the different ones. Especially when you start dealing with things like application of pressure. Some cups are much easier to work than others, depending on the person, their size, what type of work they do. So
Right.
yeah, they really get a chance to dive into the cup part of it. And then we do some applications for the back, because in my opinion, I think the back is probably one of the easiest places to start working, and
Mhm.
it's probably one of the most comfortable spots too. So you start getting
Yeah.
into some of the appendages, and there's definitely some spots where it gets a little bit sensitive, or can be,
Mhm.
right? So,
Mhm.
but if you're ever going to make a mistake, or if you're going to do too much, using the back is really a great spot for that.
Yeah.
So that's the foundations class, really, is just kind of diving right into it. And we do a lot of, like you said before, playtime. Because I'm really big on try things. If you're gonna make a
Mhm.
mistake, make it here in class with the
Mhm.
people who are here to support you. But once you get out into the real world, making a mistake on a paying client, it's just a different situation at that point.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And then the next three classes, people are able to take it however they'd like. It was set up to be a series, but everybody's got their own things going on, so you can take the other three in any order. But really, it goes over upper body, lower body, and then face and abdomen.
Mhm.
So upper body, we do specific conditions, things like frozen shoulder. We get into the epicondylitis syndromes, carpal tunnel,
Mhm.
pec minor syndrome, different treatments for specific upper body things. Lower
Mhm.
body, same thing. We get a little bit more into plantar fasciitis, get into sciatica, work the IT band, because that to me is some of the most dynamic work that we can do. And
Mhm.
then the last one is the face and abdomen class, which is a lot of fun. It's usually by that day everybody's exhausted and beat up and had so
Uh-huh.
many cut marks all over them that like that
Yeah.
last day is like loving. You're like, oh, this
Yeah.
is a nice therapy.
Yeah. I love
But
those.
yeah, we
That
get to
day was great.
yeah. Oh God, it's so funny because people are like, oh, I don't know. They're so nervous about, again, like that anxiety
Uh-huh.
of getting cuffed on the face and the marks and the things like that.
Yeah.
But man, usually about 3 pumps and people are passed out, dead to the world, and it's
Yeah.
great. So
Yeah, and the abdominal work is so I'm a big fan of abdominal work in any modality, but yeah, it's unless you have Claire on the table, then you can't do anything. So
lots of
insider joke
giggling.
there. Lots of giggling. Yeah, if you're sensitive with your giggling, uh, super fun.
Yeah, but I
Um,
mean, like, again, such great work you can do for people who are, having problems moving things along, or people who are having problems absorbing things.
yeah.
So the dynamicness of this work is just awesome.
Yeah, I think it's great. So I'm gonna show this at the end too, but all Morgan's classes are on our website, which technically the website for the workshops is this, but it's a little long of a thing. So the easiest way to go about it is to go to our website, and in the upper right-hand corner, click on continuing education. And then all of Morgan's classes will be, you can go by campus to figure out where he's going to be, or just look for the cupping ones. But just a little highlight here, just know that the series are taking place at all 4 of our campuses coming up in August, in Tucson and Mesa, Prescott in September, and Flagstaff in September as well. So I'll put these up at the end of the show too, but I want to make sure if we have people watching now kind of want to know what's going on, want to make sure they have that. And then we can talk a little bit about the masterclass a little. So people know a little bit about cupping, they practice a little, but now they're like, now what? What do I do? How do I develop more? Right? Is that a little bit, I'm just taking words out of your mouth probably, but is that how you
You're
kind of,
totally good. No,
uh,
that's pretty much it. I really, like I remember when I take my first class, I wanted more, and it was like, I don't know if I necessarily need more like sit down classroom education, but I want some more playtime. So
Mhm.
that's really what it was. After my last couple rounds of classes, sitting down and talking to the students in the class, like what everybody wants more time, right? That's
Mhm.
almost always what the thing is. Oh, I wish I had more time. I wish I could have practiced more, this, that, and the other thing. But
Right.
we have to play that balance game. More time means more money. Does everybody have
Mhm.
time for that, or commit to that, or it's
Yeah.
just, I don't know. There's a lot more to it. And we kind of came up with the idea of having this basically like this playtime,
Mhm.
a chance where we could totally just hang out, try different techniques, see what's working for people, do some refreshers, do a couple extra demos, find out what people are loving or hating in their practice, what's working, what's not, and
Mhm.
make it a little bit more real life setting without making it so classroom. Let me teach
Yeah.
you my way or the highway type of a thing, a little bit more collaborative. So with that, I kind of got into the masterclass series, and I wanted to do just exactly that. Let's dive into a couple conditions, a couple things, real life that people are dealing with. But I also really wanted to do start building a community. Like I really wanted to have people who cup get together and cup, whether you've been in my class or somebody else's class. I mean, I probably took their class too. Like I'm not a be on my way or anything. I think collaboration, I'm always big on collaboration, not competition, but collaboration is where new stuff is born. Collaboration is where, the things you didn't even know you didn't know come to lay, and you can like make some cool stuff happen. So, I really wanted it a place where people could learn, obviously have a safe space to try cupping, and then really build the cupping network. I mean, it's it's fairly new in a modality. So to really get on the ground floor of getting people, friendly and know your cuppers and know who you can refer to and who you can trade with and try stuff.
Right. Yeah, the trading's always a great one, especially know how they worked on the table. You're like, oh, I'm gonna come see you. That's really great.
CU classes, best place to find your trade buddies. I'm telling you.
Yeah, exactly, and grow your network. I love it. So we did want to talk a little bit and show actually a little bit of some of the highlighted stuff that you can learn in your classes. So I'll kind of let you take it away, because I know you have somebody on standby who's probably like, stop yapping and let's get this on already.
I know, he's either like, stop yapping or I'm asleep. Don't be mad.
I know, poor thing, he doesn't even know what's going on because you have the headphones on. So
I know. I'm hogging all the audio. That's the problem.
All right. So do you want to give some? Okay, I was gonna give some background information of what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. And you tell me about the camera angle, because everything's adjustable.
Yeah, it looks pretty good to me.
All right, sweet. So this is my good friend Jordan here. He's on the table. Oh, nice. Got some smiles there. I like it. So we were just chit-chatting a little bit, and while I'm talking to you, I'm gonna put some oil on him just so we can not spend too much time here. But yeah, so while we were chit-chatting with him earlier, he was saying that he was feeling a little bit of discomfort in his low back, kind of trying to find out what it is that he wanted worked on, right? Because it's always nice to do real life demos based on what people are presenting with, what people have for issues and things like that. So for him, it was a little bit more low back, which was kind of nice, because I think cupping in the low back is like this like beautiful match made in heaven. I talk to a lot of clients, especially when I have to explain to them what's going on with cupping and how it works, that the low back in particular is a great spot, because, here we've got this curvature already going on back here, and there's only so much pressure down that we can really handle whoever you are before it's just uncomfortable, right? So being able to have a suction cup on there and really lift and pull up on the low back rather than pushing down and pushing into it is such a huge benefit for everybody. So yeah, so we're going to do some cupping on the low back. Is this your first time cupping ever?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, that's right. You have your cups at home. All right. All right, so first thing I like to do, we'll do a little bit of a warm up, right? So I'm just gonna go ahead and take my cup, my favorite cup here, right? Do a little bit of a suction. You'll get to learn this all in the class, so I won't overdo it here, right? But I got my nice little suction on there. Give a nice little lift to the skin. You can see it's on there. It's not going anywhere. I'm gonna put my hand behind there. I'm gonna lift, and I'm just gonna go ahead and glide right down his low back, and I'm gonna make it all the way to the sacrum, right? I really want to go for that bony prominence. And then I'm just going to simply glide it on the way back up. How does that feel? Good. Take it. All right.
Yeah, and a couple of things to point out that I'd like to point out, if you don't mind, a little color commentary.
Please, go for it.
Going here. Going to the bony prominences, right? One of the things we're doing in regular hands-on massage, we're like, don't go over your bony prominences too much. But the cupping, because you're lifting, is completely different. And you are lifting. So that was one thing that took me a long time. I felt like a long time in those classes that I took with you to remember, you got to lift and go, which makes me, I'm also curious, and maybe, we can chat about your ideas about this. I know a lot of people see these demos or like see that you can buy them on Amazon or, directly through the companies and get them. And I don't know if they necessarily realize that you have to have that lifting component. And you're not pushing down, which is what I was doing accidentally because I didn't have the training yet. Another
I
reason to come
agree.
to a class.
That lifting aspect is huge. I mean, there's like, that's one thing that I just love in general about live education, right? Like there's a lot of things you can read, there's a lot of things you can see on a webinar, but it's different when you're doing it and you get that like live in-person correction, or slight nuance, things like you said, that lifting. Anybody who's on the table can tell the difference between somebody who's pushing down and gliding a cup and somebody who's lifted and glided the cup. It's like chalk to cheese of a difference. It's like unbelievable. So yeah, I agree. I think having that, again, those pieces of education, where you can really get in there and ask those questions, that's huge, Again, I'm coming down. So as you can see, I've done, this is about past 3, maybe past 4. And I think you can see it pretty well on the camera. He's a beautiful red color. How do you feel? Good, right? So to the touch, feels super warm, right? So that's a good thing. So that for me, if I wanted to go even in from here and just start getting into a little bit more finger work, a little bit more palpation, right? I can get in there a little bit deeper. I can feel where his rib is right now. You can come up, I can see where any of those tight bands going along the transverse processes here with QL are. I can come right down through here. You can start to feel a little bit along the iliac crest, right? He seems a little bit tight in through here and even in through glute med right through here, right? So again, just taking a little bit of time to warm that area up, go back with your palpation skills. I'm just going to adjust a little bit. Right. So again, starting to get that warmth. I'm going to come down here, come all the way down, whoop, popped right off. I'm going to start here. And now I'm just going to start to work these lines. So I keep my one hand on the drape just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Luckily, my client has underwear on, but you guys don't know that. Right. And I can just go ahead right along that iliac crest. And the thing that's nice about cups is I'm specific with where I'm working, but I'm not specific on a muscle. Once the cup is on, it's going to pull anything that it's under. So as I start to glide through here, I'm going to be working through QL. As I come out a little bit further, I'll probably get into a little bit of the obliques over through here. As I'm riding that line, I'm also getting the top part of glute max into glute medius, into glute minimus. I mean, like, it's just the amount of work that can get done at one time is just incredible. Right. So again, coming down, just warming up that tissue.
While you're warming up, I just want to shout out to Jamie, who also said she was pushing too until you corrected her. And live teaching is the best. Spoken from a true expert. She knows her stuff. Hi, Jamie.
I agree. Hi, Jamie. I'll see you on Tuesday.
How exciting.
Yes, you'll see her too. Right. So as you can see, again, I'm going to see if I can get the camera over here a little bit more. Right. Can you see? I mean, the dynamic color difference on just a couple of passes, and then as I get into this side, I can sink in so much easier, so much nicer. And here it just feels a lot more stiff, right?
Yeah.
Just not as much movement there.
Yeah. And now could be the time that somebody's doing deeper work, right? Or hands on deeper work, or continue with the cups, or whatever it is that you're trying to do.
I had somebody ask me, like, is this where you would stop? I'm like, no, absolutely not. Just the beginning. Now I can really, if I wanted to get a little bit more specific, I can grab my thumb supported, go right down into that lamina groove, right? Now, if you can see my fingers on this side, it's just cruising down there. I'm right next to the spine, going right through it. If I were to try and do that on the other side, it's like a tight rubber band over here, right? It's just such a different experience, and it's not as comfortable for the client, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
So yeah, just to do a little bit more with lower back, honestly, I would say let's make sure that we get the arm over to the side, right? But after that, I'll use a couple different cups and do it as like a layout. So just, real quick with the QL, we've got it attaching here on the iliac crest, transverse processes of the lumbar spine, and then across the 12th rib here, right? So sometimes I like to mix and match. We did a lot of that gliding, which was beautiful, right? Maybe I'll glide and come right down. So now I'm right at the iliac crest, coming all the way over to the side. right? So iliac crest is basically going right here. I've got glute max and glute medius. I've got QL, and then I've got a little bit of the obliques here, right? This is where I like to have fun and get into multiple cups. I'm a glutton. What can I say? Right? So now I'm up a little bit higher. I've got the sacrum right here, and I'm kind of coming right on up through where that iliac crest is, right? So again, it kind of looks haphazard, but it doesn't need to be. Now that I've got these on here, play, right? So I can stretch the cups down this way and then take, oh, let me see if I can switch hands. Stretch the cups down this way and then take my hand and we can do a nice pull. How's that feel? I think I got thumbs. Yeah, I got thumbs. Right? So you kind of get that myofascial stretch of a pull. As I'm doing that, really what I'm doing is feeling for tight bands, right? It's trying to see what it is. Sometimes it's a lumpy bumpy, maybe it's a trigger point, maybe it's a fascial adhesion, maybe who knows what it is. Well, that's the whole thing. You do you. I'm not trying to stop you. But I'm going to come up a little bit higher onto those attachments. I'm going to take my cup. I'm going to go right at the lumbar spine. All right, so I've got this nice L going. How you doing in there? Yay. More cups on, usually the more intense, right? So just be aware of that. So again, kind of just coming through. From here, I can play around a little bit, right? Maybe I'll come up a little bit higher. Up onto the attachments. Right. Now I'm getting close to things like kidneys, right? So I can put cups around the kidneys, but I just don't want to leave it on for a very long time, right? It's kind of like tapotement on the kidneys. You can tapote over it, but go past it. Don't stay there. Right? So I'm going to come down a little bit further on the side here. Whew. How are we doing in there? Yay. He's doing well. I like it. All right. So that's a nice way we could work up into the QL. We can add a little bit of movement because I don't have to stop there, right? Maybe I wanted to come up and come into this whole side, maybe this whole, oh, let me see if I can get this better. There we go. Maybe I wanted to come into this whole lateral side and come right up along this lateral border of the scapula, right? Well, I'm crazy and I have all these extra cups, so I'm gonna do it. Let me know if anything is too much for you. We're just gonna decorate the world right now with all the different types of cups that we have so you can see this.
I'm feeling that.
So I'm coming up, right? I'm coming up the erectors. I've got both the attachments for QL, and now I'm starting to come across kind of like where lats are, right? Does that make sense? And again, the whole time as I'm putting down cream and oil, I'm kind of feeling for where those spots are. Where do I want to go to next? The problem for me is that like I stop when I run out of cups. So
that's the only thing stopping you. It's your cup and feel.
It's the only thing that stops me. I keep finding new ones and I'm like, ooh, another one there. Ooh, it will be too much. We don't usually do this many layouts in class, but you know, it's always nice to see what you can play with. How you feeling in there, my man? I like it. We're still doing well, so that's half the battle. Don't go anywhere. And then we'll do some movement with that. So I'm going to pull him back a little bit. Can y'all see?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah, I got to his elbow. I don't know if I have to see his hand, but I have to see it up to his elbow.
No, that's fine. This is where they all are.
Okay.
And then from here, like, again, I'm trying to think of like elongating this area out. I'm thinking about things like lats and starting to elongate those out. I'm big on movement. So I'm going to grab his arm. I'll passively take him into what I call Superman, right? Where he's just like a big old Superman flying through the air. It's got a nice opening through the lats, the whole side of the body. I could even, if they're able, come across by the head and really stretch it. All this can be done side lying as well. Please don't feel like this is the only way. Right? Take him down based on where the cups are, right? So on this lateral border of the scapula, right where teres major, teres minor are, I'm also going to do some internal and external rotation. Right? One does internal, one does external. When the cups are pinning it, I can really work with the shearing movement of those two working against each other. Right? And then I'm going to take his arm right back. All right. How did that feel? Good. All right. I'm gonna have you, right? Let's actively make him do it because that'll make it way harder and more fun for me.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so nice. Well, let's go ahead and have you do that Superman move all the way out. One of the cups popped off. I always say that's okay. Didn't want to be there anyway.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. And I'm going to guide the hand to make sure it comes all the way out. Reach all the way for me. Spirit fingers. Yeah. All right. And then bring your arm back to the side of the table. So right
You should
there.
have
There you
Bring
go.
It On be a prerequisite for your classes from now on.
I think it needs to be, and then do some internal and external rotation. So this is even better for that shearing motion that's going across here because they're actively moving that.
Yeah.
And then you can bring that all the way back to the table. Oop, and then back to your side, sorry. Well, actually, no, I'll leave it off to the side so we can see when we come off. Yeah. All right, so that's pretty good. That to me is a pretty decent treatment, right? So from here, the last thing that you want to do with pretty much any of the cups is you take them off. However you choose to take them off, right? I'll probably take them off in a couple different ways, is to make sure you just do some nice flushing, right? So what I want to make sure that I do at the end here is to make sure that I am flushing all of that in towards the closest node, right? So for this area, I'm going to be in towards the armpit or up into the supraclavicular, right? So same thing here. So these I'm just taking off.
Now, as you're taking them off, we're seeing the obvious marks that are left behind, which we call octopus kisses, so lovingly. Can you explain a little bit why these aren't bruises?
Absolutely. So big difference between these things is that when it comes to a bruise, you're talking about damage to the tissue, right? Some type of a compressive force into the tissue that damaged it and then caused that bleeding because of all the broken capillaries. With cupping, we're not damaging the tissue. I didn't do anything to ruin it. I didn't bust it up or screw it up at all. All I did was pull blood flow into that area. Right. So I get the same marks, right? It looks like a duck, but it doesn't quack like a duck, right? Mm-hmm. The other thing that's huge is that when it comes to cupping marks, they don't usually hurt, right? Mm-hmm. Might be sensitive if you overcup. It might be one of those things where you're like, "Ooh, I can feel it," but it shouldn't be like it's right there, it's right there, it's right there, like a bruise. You know, if you touch a bruise, it's just painful. With the cupping marks, you know, I say this often in class as well. It's like I'll go get cupped, and then the next morning I'll go take a shower and take my shirt off and scare the crap out of myself because whoops, here I am looking like a giant leper. So.
Yeah, and it, like you said, you don't know, like if somebody says, "Ooh, you're all bruised up" or whatever, if you try yourself to point to where they think the bruise is, you can't do it like without seeing it most of the time because it doesn't hurt.
We did an experiment in one of the classes. We cupped a lot of this one guy's back, and then I said to him, I was like, "All right, where do you feel the cupping mark? Like, where's the discomfort for you?" And no word of a lie, I swear down, he touched the one spot that we didn't put a cup on. Like the one spot. It was so cool. I was like, it was one of those, like, I had to get the whole class involved because I was like, nobody's gonna believe me. I definitely need co-signers.
You need witnesses. Yeah, it's probably the one spot that got left out than all the other spots. So
right, that's what I'm thinking. So here are the cupping marks up a little bit closer and stuff. This is probably one of my favorite ones here. You can really see, one of the principles that we work with is vasodilation, and you can really see that with the pores here, really quite an opening. Another one of those great added benefits, especially if you start doing any type of spa work or if you do any type of essential oil or CBD type work, with those giant open pores, now is the time to put those therapeutic products on there. Now is the time to do anything that you want soaked up into the skin. This is that time. As you can see, the pores couldn't be any more open if you tried.
Yeah, that's amazing. You can definitely see that difference in there.
Totally. How do you feel, my man? Good. I think he's trying to sleep, but I keep yelling, so.
Wake up.
It's like, I said it was good. Leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. So, and then some of the side effects, after effects. I know for me, I always get the itching. Itching always happens after cupping. So I can imagine from the vasodilation that's happening and just the way my skin's going like, whoa, are there some other side effects or after effects that are common?
Yeah, no, itching, that's very common and it's a great one, right? If somebody is
Mhm.
itchy, that's a great thing because it means that I'm trying to get this camera thing. I'm very bad at cameras. Itchy is good because it means that there's healing going on, right? It means that there's blood flow to areas that haven't had blood flow to them in a long time. So that's a
Mhm.
great thing.
Yeah.
Other very common things that you'll have happen is the person will start to feel warm. Like their skin will start to get really hot just because of all the blood flow and the heat that we've pulled up from the body. So that can be really helpful. Another one, sometimes the skin will feel really hot, but the person themselves will actually get really cold. And
Mhm.
again, if you think about it like Eastern, Western, whatever you want, if you're pulling all this heat from in the body up so it can get dispersed, that's going to be, you know, that's going to be where that cold body is coming from because you literally
Mhm.
pulled all the heat out of
Right.
them. Other than that, you know, the worst thing that you can get if you get overcupped is you're going to go home and go to bed. It's very exhausting on the body. So people will oftentimes kind of like get tired if they've had a lot of cupping. But as
Mhm.
far as bad after effects, nah, we don't have any of those.
I haven't heard any from our classes. Like we said, we every cohort gets to play with the cups for 2 days in our curriculum, and many of our students are putting it into their clinic sessions as well. So people outside
Which is
that are
awesome.
booking appointments, they're using it as well. So yeah, we are having really great success with it in our program, and it's all because of Morgan and all his classes.
Yeah.
So if you haven't had a class with Morgan yet and you're on the fence, you definitely need to check out his work. And I want to make sure that everyone, again, has just a regular website, asismassage.edu. Go to continuing education up in the upper right-hand corner, and then you'll see all the series that are coming up, all 4 of our campuses. Hopefully one's close to you. Or if you want to come out and visit us a little bit, you might want to do that. And then we always are running these classes you know, every so often we'll get them back on the schedule again. So if you are in a colder state, perhaps, and want some winter times, just come on back to the website. I'm sure we'll find out.
Vacation.
You might not want to join us right in July, but it's getting cooler. And don't forget the masterclass for anyone who does have experience with cupping and wants to pick some brains and connected and network with other people who love cupping. We do have those master classes coming up as well at 3 of our campuses. And Flagstaff's going to be probably at the beginning of next year, right? We were saying probably.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
yeah, so but at least we have the Prescott one there as well. So can we get some feedback from Jordan? See how he's doing on the
For
table?
sure. Jordan, how you feeling from your left side of your back there?
Feels a lot looser. Feels nice.
I got a lot looser. It feels nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah, your right side's gonna be mad and jealous. So.
Yeah, I mean, you can even see like it's a lot. Everything's a little bit more calmed down on that side.
Yeah, it's
Right?
amazing. And it
Looking
was like
here.
10 minutes or something that you were working, maybe 10, 15. Interrupted by a lot of me yapping and asking you questions. So.
You, me, all of us, we did it. You know.
Yes. So as a reminder, his Morgan series, Foundations, is the first part of it, and it's an 8-hour class to learn all the basic techniques, play on the back a bit, and then if you want the other classes, we have an upper body, a lower body, and face and abdomen, my personal favorite, because it just feels really great to get that work done. Is there anything else you want to add about your classes or what people should look forward to?
No, I mean my classes are a lot of fun. I like to laugh, so that's like that's a big piece of my classes is laughter. But yeah, other than that, I mean I'm always big on just drop the egos and let's have fun and learn something new and let's have a good time doing it. You know, I try not to take life too terribly serious, but I am really big on education. You know, like I said, I think there's a lot of great things that can come from cupping. So yeah, I mean just come ready to learn and you know who knows, teach me some things. I'm totally down for that.
I love it. Love it so much. And so I want to keep seeing more of you. I'm like, let's keep playing. But
Yes, please.
So if anyone here is watching and is interested in seeing more of those techniques, we are going to be building more videos on our YouTube. We'll have some on our TikTok as well, of any miniature demos as well. But if you can't make it out to one of Morgan's classes, you can get to see some of the protocols that he teaches in them as well. So look forward to that. Lots more to come in the days ahead. There we go. Get a
Yes.
nice last look at Jordan's back there. Looking really
Make
good.
sure we get them a little bit more evened out there. So
Yeah, love it. So yeah, if you're watching this now and you want to see some specific techniques done, either with the cupping or anything else coming up, we'd love to hear your feedback, your suggestions, and we would love to put something together and put that content out for you as well. So put them in the comments. Check out, if you're watching this on our YouTube, check out the live stream we did with Morgan a couple months back to get to know him a little bit more as well. And I want to thank you, Morgan, for taking the time out today. Thanks, Jordan, for sacrificing his afternoon to come out and be a demo body as well. And we'll see everybody next week for our next live stream. So have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you.